I think with this issue covering sex trafficking and particularly child sex trafficking, I really had to rethink a lot of the things that I was sort of taught to do in journalism and the way that we sort of can plow ahead with thinking of the story first and foremost. When writing about people who are in these extremely fragile and difficult situations, I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity to sort of slow down and take a step back and figure out what, especially for the, survivors who are in these stories, to figure out what it was that they needed to be able to share their stories in this way. So whether that was sort of giving them more space between interviews or letting them ghost me a little bit or looking for other ways to tell the difficult parts of these stories through court records, through witnesses, things like that, so that we could tell, as full of a story as we could about this really difficult issue, hopefully without causing additional harm to people who have already been harmed so much. So when it comes to writing about sex trafficking specifically, I think the first thing that I need to do always is talk to other survivors, because there are a lot of people who consider themselves experts in this area who have never actually experienced any kind of trafficking. And so I am really grateful for the people who have been through it, who are willing and have the capability to talk about it and to offer their insight. And so that's kind of always my first step on pretty much every story that I do in this space. And then when it comes to figuring out who else to talk to, I think I'm really grateful to work at a place that allows me to have the space to do that research so that I'm talking to a whole bunch of people, and some of them might not really actually be the right person for that story. But there's something that they said that stuck in my head, and a year later, I'm going to get to that story. And so, for me, that's, of course, academic experts, but also prosecutors, public defenders, advocates, former advocates, and also just regular people. I mean, talking to like my cousins or friends from Ohio about their perceptions of trafficking and how this happens has actually been one of the most illuminating things in deciding which stories I'm going to take on. This reporting, first and foremost, I hope raises awareness not just about that trafficking is happening, but how it happens. I think we have all been, you know, led to believe that trafficking is something that happens when people are, kidnapped off the streets. But what these stories show again and again is that, especially for child sex trafficking, these are kids who are already vulnerable for some reason. Maybe they're in the foster care system, maybe they're experiencing homelessness, and that what traffickers do is, find those kids and fill the needs that they have, offer them safety, offer them love, and manipulate them until they feel like the trafficker is the only person who they trust. And that's such an important issue to understand, whether it's at the level of the public. We wrote about the way that the public misunderstands these stories and can make false stories go viral, harming real people in that process. It's important for, police departments when they interact with a child who says to them, oh, that guy is my pimp, that they know that that's sex trafficking because children cannot consent to being part of commercial sex, and that they handle it then accordingly. And it matters for prosecutors too, when they are deciding if a victim of sex trafficking has committed another crime. They're deciding what kind of charges to press and how that person's trauma matters. So I hope first and foremost the stories have educated a lot of people on those issues. We've also seen, reactions in the places that we've written about, from Ohio to Las Vegas, of trainings, changes in policy, changes in staffing, things like that, because of these stories.